In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro delves into the significant political developments in Canada, particularly focusing on the recent election that saw the Liberal Party, led by Mark Carney, secure a projected victory. This election marks a notable shift in Canadian politics, especially following the tumultuous tenure of former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whom Shapiro refers to as handsome Bernie Sanders. The discussion highlights the implications of this election for both Canada and the United States, as well as broader geopolitical concerns involving Russia, Iran, and China. Shapiro begins by recounting the political landscape in Canada leading up to the election. He notes that Trudeau's Liberal Party was facing a severe decline in popularity, with polls indicating a significant lead for the Conservative Party under Pierre Poilievre. However, the political dynamics shifted dramatically when Trudeau announced his departure from politics. This move allowed Carney, who Shapiro humorously dubs Ugly Justin Trudeau, to step in as the new leader of the Liberal Party. Carney's rise coincided with a snap election, which he declared shortly after taking over, leading to a rapid consolidation of support for the Liberals. The election results indicate that the Liberals are projected to win a fourth consecutive term, although it remains uncertain whether they will secure a majority or need to form a coalition government. Shapiro emphasizes that if the Liberals do not achieve a solid majority, they could be vulnerable to a vote of no confidence in the future. He describes Carney as a candidate aligned with the Green New Deal and relatively open border policies, similar to Trudeau's approach. Shapiro discusses the contrasting narratives surrounding the election's outcome. One perspective suggests that Carney's victory was primarily due to Trudeau's departure, akin to the Democratic Party's strategy in the U.S. elections. The other argument posits that external factors, particularly President Trump's aggressive rhetoric and policies toward Canada, played a significant role in shaping the election's dynamics. Shapiro leans towards the latter, asserting that Trump's attacks on Canada shifted the political discourse, making the election less about domestic issues like inflation and more about who could effectively confront Trump. Shapiro elaborates on Trump's influence, noting that his comments about Canada, including calling it the 51st state, and his tariff threats altered the political landscape. This rhetoric created a perception among Canadians that Poilievre, as a right-leaning candidate, was too closely aligned with Trump to effectively oppose him. Consequently, the election became a referendum on who could best stand up to Trump's policies, rather than a straightforward contest between the Liberal and Conservative parties. Despite the challenges faced by the Conservatives, Shapiro points out that they still garnered over 40% of the popular vote, indicating a significant base of support. However, the Liberals' ability to consolidate votes from smaller parties around Carney ultimately led to their electoral success. Shapiro critiques the notion that the election was solely about Carney's appeal, arguing that it was also a reaction to Trump's ongoing antagonism towards Canada. Transitioning from Canadian politics, Shapiro addresses broader geopolitical issues, particularly the ongoing tensions with Russia and Iran. He highlights the precarious situation in Ukraine, where Russia's aggressive actions pose a significant threat to global stability. Shapiro notes that the U.S. must remain vigilant in its support for Ukraine, as any perceived weakness could embolden Russia further. In discussing Iran, Shapiro reflects on Trump's previous criticisms of the Obama-era nuclear deal, labeling it one of the worst agreements in U.S. history. He expresses concern over the potential for a new deal under the Trump administration, questioning whether it would genuinely prevent Iran from pursuing nuclear weapons or merely replicate the failures of the past. Shapiro emphasizes the need for a robust strategy that prioritizes complete denuclearization rather than a temporary halt to nuclear activities. Shapiro also touches on the rising threat posed by China, particularly in the South China Sea. He underscores the importance of maintaining a strong U.S. presence in the region to counter China's territorial ambitions. The podcast highlights the interconnectedness of these geopolitical issues, suggesting that the outcomes in Canada, Ukraine, Iran, and China will have far-reaching implications for U.S. foreign policy. In conclusion, Shapiro's podcast provides a comprehensive analysis of the recent Canadian election and its implications for U.S.-Canada relations. He argues that the election results reflect a broader trend towards leftist policies in Canada, with Carney's victory signaling a continuation of Trudeau's agenda. Shapiro warns that the U.S. must navigate these changes carefully, as the political landscape in Canada will influence bilateral relations and broader geopolitical dynamics.